All right, so you know how sometimes textbook English, it's like it just doesn't quite cut it in real conversations.
Yeah, you're totally right.
It can feel like you're speaking a whole different language almost.
Like you learned all the rules, but
I
then you
know.
get out there and it's like,
Yeah, nobody's following the rules.
exactly.
So today we're diving into this video, and it's called Speak Like a Native: Daily English Conversations for Fluency.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, and it's got some really interesting tips for sounding more natural and confident,
Hmm.
and that's kind of like our mission today.
To bridge that gap.
Yeah, to bridge that gap between the textbook and like actually talking to people.
Yes, exactly.
So the video starts off with um, this language learner, Anna, and she's struggling with, just that like sounding more natural.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and they start with this really interesting point about greetings.
Okay.
Like, have you ever noticed how native speakers rarely actually say, "How are you?"
It's so true. It's almost like a reflex, right?
Yeah, it's like you just say it without even thinking.
Yeah.
But do you really want to know how someone's doing most of the time?
Not always.
So instead of, "How are you?"
Mm.
the video suggests using greetings like, "How's it going?" or
Yeah.
"What's up?"
Right. Which are much more
Way more casual.
casual.
Yeah.
And you know what I find interesting is they're kind of an invitation for a more relaxed conversation.
Totally. Like you're signaling that you're ready to just chat.
Exactly.
And the cool thing is the video actually shows Anna trying this out with a friend.
Oh, cool.
And like the difference is immediate.
Really?
Yeah, it's like she instantly feels more comfortable.
That's awesome.
And so does her friend.
I love that. And you know what else I found really interesting in the video?
What's that?
They talk about filler words.
Filler words, meaning like all the ums and likes and,
Yeah, well, those little things that we're usually told to avoid.
I know, right? Like I always thought those were bad habits.
Me too.
Yeah.
But the video makes this really interesting point.
Okay, I'm listening.
They say that actually using filler words sparingly can make you sound more natural.
Wait, really?
Yeah, because native speakers use them all the time.
I never really thought about it that way.
Right. It's like they're part of the natural rhythm of speech.
So it's not about like getting rid of them completely.
No, it's more about understanding how to use them effectively.
Okay, that makes sense. Like not overdoing it, but
Just enough to sound.
yeah, to make it sound like a real conversation.
Exactly. And they gave this great example. Instead of saying, I was very tired yesterday, they suggest saying, I was like super tired yesterday.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. It does sound more natural that way.
It does, right? And it even adds a bit of emphasis.
Like you were really, really tired.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to see the light here with these filler words.
Good.
So the video then moves on to this real world scenario.
Okay. I like it when they do that.
Yeah, me too. It makes it much more practical.
Right, because you can actually see how these tips work in action.
Exactly. So they set up this role play where Anna is ordering a latte at a cafe.
The classic coffee shop order.
Yeah, and she uses phrases like, "Can I get?" which
Right.
the video points out is super common for ordering.
Oh, for sure. It's like the go-to phrase in any coffee shop.
Totally. And you know what's funny?
What?
It's like, "Can I get?" has totally replaced "I'd like to order."
It really has, right? Like nobody really says, I'd like to order anymore.
Yeah, it's too formal.
Way too formal.
It's like we've all just collectively decided that "can I get" is the way to go.
It's fascinating how language evolves like that.
It really is. So anyway,
Hmm.
beyond these specific phrases, the video really stresses that sounding natural is all about capturing that overall flow of native speaker conversations.
Right, the way they connect their words and phrases.
Yeah, and they suggest paying attention to things like contractions.
Oh, yeah, using I'm instead of I am, can't instead of cannot.
Exactly. All those little shortcuts that make your speech less formal.
And you know what I've noticed? Even when I'm trying to speak casually, I sometimes catch myself using the full forms out of habit.
Oh, me too. It's like my brain is stuck in textbook mode.
It takes a conscious effort to break free from those patterns.
It's so worth it.
It is.
Because when you use contractions naturally, it just makes your English sound so much smoother
More relaxed.
and ultimately more like you're actually having a conversation.
Exactly.
All right, so we've covered some awesome tips so far.
We have.
We talked about alternative greetings, filler words, contractions.
And that's just the beginning.
Yeah, there's so much more to uncover.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned, because in the next part, we're going to dive even deeper into the art of sounding natural in English.
Can't wait. You know, before we move on, the video actually has this cool interactive part.
Oh, yeah, I like that part.
It's like a little exercise where you
Yeah.
can put these tips into practice.
Right, like right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's basically like a little dialogue.
Right.
And they set it up like you're working at a cafe and someone comes up to order.
The classic coffee shop scenarios.
Exactly, and it's perfect for practicing those phrases we've been talking about.
Yeah, like using can I get and all that.
Exactly. So let's try it out.
All right, I'm in game.
Okay, so I'll be the customer.
Okay.
And you be the barista.
Sounds good. Hit me with your order.
All right, hey, what can I get for you today?
Perfect. See how natural that sounds?
Yeah, it does.
Now it's your turn, everyone at home.
Yeah, think about what you want to order
Pause the deep dive if you need to.
and actually say it out loud.
Don't be shy.
This is where the real learning happens.
Right, because you're training your mouth to actually form those sounds.
Exactly, and the video even gives this pro tip.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Don't just say it once.
Right.
Like, replay the scenario a few times.
Which makes perfect.
It really does. And, you know, it's
Go.
like learning a dance move.
Okay. I like that analogy.
Yeah, the more you practice it, the smoother it becomes.
Totally. And speaking of sounding smooth, the video talks about the importance of contractions.
Oh, yeah, those little shortcuts, it makes such a big difference.
Exactly like using I'm instead of I am or can't instead of cannot.
It's crazy how much more natural it sounds when you use them.
It really is. And you know what I've noticed?
What's that?
Even when I'm consciously trying to speak more casually, I sometimes catch myself using those full forms.
Oh, me too. It's like my brain is programmed to be formal.
Right. It's those years of textbook English coming back to haunt us.
Exactly. But we got to break free from those habits.
We do, because contractions are key to sounding natural.
And it's not about, like, ignoring grammar rules.
No, not at all. It's about understanding how native speakers actually use the language.
Exactly. Like, contractions are totally fine in casual conversations.
Right, but you wouldn't use them in a formal presentation or a written report.
So it's all about adapting your language to the situation.
Exactly, knowing when to use which form.
And that brings us to another really important element of sounding natural.
What's that?
Intonation.
Yes, the music of language.
It can completely change the meaning of what you're saying.
And convey so much emotion.
Exactly. Like, think about when you're talking to a friend.
Right, your voice goes up and down.
You emphasize certain words.
Maybe you even throw in a little laugh.
Yeah, but when we're focused on getting the grammar right,
It's easy to forget about intonation,
and we end up sounding kind of flat.
like a robot reading a script.
Exactly. And that's why the video says it's so important to listen to native speakers
Pay attention to how their voices rise and fall.
and how they use pauses for effect.
It's like a master class in spoken English.
And you can get it for free,
Just by listening to podcasts or watching movies.
or even eavesdropping on conversations at a cafe.
Don't tell anyone I said that.
But seriously, though, the point is,
The world is full of incredible English teachers.
and you can learn so much just by observing how they speak.
It's like osmosis.
Totally. But listening is just the first step.
Right.
To really master these techniques, you need to, say it with me, practice.
Practice.
Exactly. It's the golden rule of language learning.
And the good news is it doesn't have to be boring.
No, you can find a language partner, join a conversation group.
Or even just talk to yourself in the mirror.
You know what? I actually do that sometimes.
Lovely.
Yeah, I find it's really helpful for practicing pronunciation and intonation.
That's a great idea. It's like having a dress rehearsal for real conversations.
Exactly. So to recap, we've talked about contractions, intonation, mimicking native speakers.
And of course, the all-important practice.
But before we move on to the final part of our deep dive,
Yes.
I want to go back to something you said earlier
Okay.
about sounding natural,
Yeah.
being about more than just mimicking.
Right.
It's about finding your own voice
Mhm.
within the language.
Exactly, because you don't want to sound like a robot.
Right. You want to sound like you.
Authentic and genuine.
And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this whole deep dive.
What's that?
It's not about erasing your accent.
Or trying to be perfect
It's about embracing your individuality.
and expressing yourself in a way that feels natural to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as you continue learning English,
Yes.
remember to find your own rhythm.
Experiment with different expressions.
And don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Because every mistake is a learning opportunity.
And who knows, you might even inspire others with your unique way of speaking.
That's a beautiful thought. All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into sounding more natural in English.
It's been quite a journey.
Yeah, we've covered so much ground.
From greetings to filler words to intonation.
It's amazing how many little things go into sounding like a native speaker.
Right, it's all about those subtle nuances.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is that it's not just about mimicking.
Right, you don't want to sound like a parrot.
Exactly. It's about finding your own voice within the language.
like making it your own.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's so important because language is personal
It is. It's how we express ourselves.
and connect with others.
And when you sound natural, it's like you're letting your personality shine through, right? You're not hiding behind a textbook.
You're being yourself.
And that's what makes communication so powerful.
So as you continue learning English,
Don't be afraid to experiment,
try new things
make mistakes,
because that's how you learn.
and most importantly, have fun with it.
Yes, enjoy the process.
Because the journey to fluency is never really over.
it's always evolving.
So before we wrap up, I wanted to leave you with a little challenge.
Okay, I like challenges.
Think about one specific English expression or situation.
Yeah, something that you'd love to master.
Maybe it's a phrase you've heard, but you're not sure how to use it.
Or a scenario like making small talk at a party.
Whatever it is, write it down
Make a plan to learn more about it.
and start practicing.
Because remember, practice makes progress,
And that's what this whole deep dive is all about.
helping you become a more confident and natural English speaker.
So keep exploring, keep learning, and keep having fun with the language.
And we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
See you later.